Hello, hello, it is Erica with Holy Rustic and Redheaded Princess Designs, and I am here today to paint our April Wagon Club. So here's our Wagon Club box. This is our little interchangeable wagon. Still have my St. Patty's Day stuff inside here. So we're going to do our April kit this month, and then we will be able to put our little pieces in our wagon and put our little sign on the front. So stinking cute. I love this. It pairs so well with our tiered tray club, and this month's design is adorable. Perfect for spring, summer, all the things. So here's our little wagon, and I'm just going to set her over to the side and switch you around so you can see what is on our table here, and we can get painting. All right, so I've got my kit here already pulled out. I have my little inspiration photo that comes in our kit, so we can refer to that as we're painting. And then we have all of our pieces. So just cute. So this is a real soft yellows and blues. I just love the way that it looks together. So let's just pull some pieces off and we'll get started. I'm going to grab some tape so that I can tape down some of these pieces. It just makes it a little bit easier to paint them. So we'll put these little daisies over here, and maybe our butterflies as well. Okay, and that little piece. All right, so I'm going to start with this big tag here, and we're going to paint it a nice springy yellow color. So I'm going to clean my brush off. We'll get started. I'm going to grab a little bit of white with my yellow and just give this a quick coat. Anytime you're painting lighter colors, you are probably going to want to put a little bit of white in that first layer so that you just have a little more grab to your paint. When you add that second color on top, that yellow is going to really pop on top of the white. If I came in with just yellow, I would probably have to do a lot of coats to get it really, really bright. So by putting the white down first, that just kind of helps give me a little more base to my pieces. So that's that one. You know what? We're also going to do, let's do this little, I should do that with a sponge. Decisions here. Okay, we're going to do that with a sponge because I think it will be easier. So we'll do this big piece. And we're going to do it in our blue color. So grab a little bit of blue here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white. I want to lighten this blue just a little bit. So we're going to grab a little white with it and put that coat down. Flip it around here. And a little more blue. Okay, and then we're going to do this. This is the sign that goes on our wagon. We're going to do this in the blue as well. So you can find our wagon on our website at holyrustic.com. That's also where you can find more information about our wagon club. So this club is a subscription box that's delivered to your door each month. It's a surprise what's going to be inside. I always make sure that it goes with whatever season we're in. And I usually make sure the wagon and the tiered tray club go together, so you can display them all together if you like. If you're in both clubs, you can put them all together and have a nice little display that you can change out each month. My goal here is to give you something that you could just sit down and enjoy painting. Not stressful, easy, fun, and in a couple of hours you have a nice, fun little piece to display. I'm going to rinse out that brush, and we're going to come back with our second coat. So I do nice thin coats so that paint dries very, very quickly, especially on the wood, and then I can easily come back in for my second coat. I want to lighten that yellow. There we go. See how that yellow just pops now that it has that nice white base underneath. Another thing that I'm doing here with my brush is after I get that paint on, I'm pulling all the way across just to even out any little ridges or anything that I might be making with my brush. I don't want any big ridges of paint. And so after I get it on where I want it, I'm just doing just like a final little brush stroke across the top there. All those little brush strokes really do play into how your pieces look when they're all done. We're going to do a couple of these little butterflies in that yellow as well. So we'll just go ahead and brush some yellow on them while we've got it on our brush. Let's rinse the brush again, and we're going to come in and do the blue for a second coat. You want to be sure when you're wiping your brush off that you're getting the water off this ferrule part of your paintbrush. That's this metal part that holds the brush bristles together. If you don't, what happens is as you pull your brush across, the water starts dripping down and it'll water down your paint, and you may then see that you're having trouble getting paint to stick, and it's just because you have too much water in your paint. So just a little tip for the day. Make sure your brush, you're drying all that of your brush there, because it will make life a little bit easier when you're painting. It's usually not as much of an issue with these bigger brushes as it is with like the little detail brushes. What ends up happening is you think that it's dry and you come across to do those tiny little details, and all of a sudden a little bead of water slides down and it just makes a mess. Your paint starts going every which direction. So just make sure you're drying the whole brush. I don't know if you can hear that, but that wind out there is really picking up today. All right, we're giving this a second coat as well. Same color palette we used on our tiered tray club this month. Beautiful blues and yellows. And I said when I was doing the tiered tray kit, you could switch this up. If blue is not your jam, then switch it up and do a different color. Pink would be beautiful. A purple would be pretty. Any color of the rainbow would really look beautiful with this. So make it however you want. I just give you these ideas as kind of a little inspiration, but you can run with it and do whatever works best for your decor, or whatever your favorite color is, whatever works for you. I'm going to dry this and come back across with a little bit more white, just to lighten it up a little bit more. And that will be all of our big pieces, and then we'll use a makeup sponge to paint the rest. So if you have never gotten one of our kits before, in our kit, we're going to include the photo, the inspiration photo. We're going to include some basic directions for you. They're going to say things like paint all your pieces, glue all your pieces together, display your thing. They're pretty basic. But once you do a couple of these kits, I find that they're pretty self-explanatory, and it's really more about just enjoying the process than it is about being super technical with them. And you could go really elaborate and do lots of shading and highlighting and all the things, or you can just paint everything in simple colors, and it's going to look beautiful no matter what you do. What you have to remember is that no one is going to see mine. No one that you know is going to see any of mine, and so yours can be yours. It does not have to look like mine. It doesn't have to look at the picture when it's all done, because you can do whatever you want. Okay, I have this sponge from earlier when I was doing the tier tray kit, and it's already got blue on it, so we're just going to go ahead and go with that. We're going to do the blue for this bloom. So the word bloom here. I'm going to do this little punch hole piece, and I'm going to go over this one butterfly I did in blue as well. We'll do all that fairly quickly here with a quick coat. I also want to do somewhere, we have There she is. She was hiding. A little word that says smile, so we'll do that with the blue as well. And remember, we're doing thin coats of paint. We don't need to put all the paint on there at one time. It's better to do a couple of thin coats than one big, thick, gobby coat. So just do a thin coat and let it dry, and then come back and do a second coat. You'll have much better coverage like that. The reason why we like to use this makeup sponge to paint our pieces with, like these smaller pieces, is it keeps me from pushing a bunch of paint across the edge. And it just makes for a cleaner look in the end than if I came on here with my paintbrush. So that's why we like using this. I'm going to clip my sponge. So this sponge you can use for lots of colors. So now all I'm going to do is clip the end straight across there. And I have a brand new sponge that I can use again. So this time we're going to go into the white. My white's a little contaminated here, so I'm going to grab, maybe, there we go, just a little bit of fresh white here. And we're dipping into the paint, and I don't want to come over here onto my piece. It's hard to see, but there are some big old globs of paint on there. So I'm going to tap over here on the side to get some of that excess paint off, so I'm not putting big globs of paint on my piece. I'm going to do quite a bit with this white. We're going to do this Sunshine and Daisies. Remember, we're going for thin coats, so that first coat's not going to look fabulous, but that's okay because it will look fabulous when we're done. Okay, we're going to do these little daisies. Those guys don't want to stick. We're going to do this Hello Spring. I'm so glad that it is finally spring and the birds are singing, the sun is shining. It's just my favorite. Okay, Hello Spring. I've got all of these daisies to do as well. I could tape these down. It would probably make my life a little bit easier, but here we are. And we need to do the fence, which is what I was debating earlier, how I wanted to do this. So we're gonna, the reason why I didn't do the brush on this, even though I really did debate it, is because all these little pieces here, I would definitely, as I'm pulling my brush across there, end up with a bunch of paint down in there, and I don't want to do that because that's going to look messy. So if I do it this way, it saves me a little bit of headache, and it doesn't look messy when I'm done. I generally say you don't want to paint big pieces with your brush or with your sponge, and so while this is a bigger piece, it has lots of little rails, and so it's okay to do that with your sponge. All right, let's go back where we started, and we're just going to come in with a second coat, and you'll see how much that second coat really starts to pop. So just a little bit about the Wagon Club. It is, like I said, a subscription box. You're going to receive a box delivered to your door each month. Inside your box, you're going to have your paint kit. You're going to have a little tube of craft glue. You're going to get a makeup sponge that you can use to paint your pieces. You're going to get an inspiration photo and your basic directions. You're, of course, going to get your pieces. The wagon is not included, so you'll want to get that separately. There's also a little shelf that these pieces can go on as well if you prefer that look versus the wagon. And you're going to get a coupon code that you can use on any of the wagon items in our shop. So it's kind of like a little extra bonus each month, which is fun. And it's just a fun way to have something to do for yourself each month. You know, take a couple of hours and paint something, create something with your hands. It's so important for our brains to create. And I think sometimes we forget to do that. We forget what it's like You know, when we were kids, we colored and we did all the things, and sometimes as adults we forget and we take life too seriously, and we forget to take time to make things. So however that works for you, whatever you enjoy doing, I just encourage you to take time to create, because it is really good for your brain. I often hear people say, well, I didn't think about anything else for the whole hour and a half that I was painting, and that's the goal. The goal is that it's just like a little mini break each month for your brain. A little break, which is so good. And these kits paint up fairly quickly. You'll see I'm probably going to have this one done in about 30-ish minutes. You may take a little longer. I've heard people say that they really like to stretch it out and take their time, and they will paint, you know, a little part of it each day. So whatever works for you. You can paint it all in one setting. You can paint part of it this day and part of it that day. It's just a fun way to make something cute for your home. And when people come over and they're like, oh, I love that, you can be like, I made it. What a better feeling than to be like, I made that. It just makes my heart happy. All right, I'm just going back over these pieces that need another quick coat. I think everything is looking pretty good here. Nice and bright white. Beautiful. Okay, let's see. We have some green pieces. So let's grab some green. And we're going to sponge on that green to all these little stems for our daisies. If you get intimidated by the tiered tray kits, I think the Wagon Club is a nice middle ground, because it's not there's not as many tiny pieces. Sometimes the tiered tray kits can be a little overwhelming for people because there are a lot of little baby pieces in that kit. Whereas this one, these pieces are just a little bit bigger. They're still small, but they're a little bit bigger, and so it's a little bit easier, I think. If you're a beginner and you've never painted things like this before, to kind of tackle. Sometimes people get a little overwhelmed when there are so many pieces. So if that's you, just pull out what you need for one sign. You've got your inspiration photo there. This kit, it has 3 signs and then the front piece for the wagon. So pull out what you need for one sign and paint that one piece. And then pull out what you need for one more sign and paint that one piece. You don't have to do it like I'm doing it, where I'm painting all the yellow pieces, all the green pieces, all the blue pieces. There's a lot of different ways you could do this. And so sometimes it's easier if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, there are so many pieces in this box and I don't know what to do with them all. That's a great way to do it as well. I always say it's kind of like a puzzle in the end. Once you get everything painted, then you get to just piece it together. And some people, that's a little overwhelming, but you don't have to like puzzles to enjoy this. Okay, what do we need now? We need to finish up our butterflies. I got to do this little sign here, and I felt like there was something else. Those butterflies need another coat of yellow, so let's do that first. We're going to clip the sponge. Set that to the side. Let's come in with some yellow and just brighten up these butterflies. Perfect. And this little piece we're going to do in a brown, so I need teensy bit of brown. And there she is. I don't usually paint these. They're the little hooks for your side of your wagon. So I'm not going to paint those. So I think now we can finish up with our brush. We need to add in the centers on these daisies. So I'm going to use the handle of the brush to do those little guys. And then these that are a little bit bigger, we'll just brush that on like so. You've got that etched line there, so you're just going to pull that paint right up to that etched line. That was a big glob of paint. Let's bring some of that over here. It's still a lot of paint. I got way too much paint on that tiny brush. All right. Spread her out. That's going to take a minute to dry. Okay. So there's our little daisies. We need to paint in our butterflies. Boop. So all I'm going to do for these butterflies is I'm going to take this tiny brush, and for the blue one, I'm going to pick up a little bit of white, and I'm just going to kind of put it in the direction where those etched lines are. Here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to stress if that paint is not perfect inside those little grooves, because not looking at it that closely and a little bit of paint is just going to give us the idea that this has those the pattern on our butterfly's wings. Okay, so just remember, the point of this is to be fun and enjoyable and not too stressful. Okay, I'm going to do their little bodies in black, and then for my yellow butterflies, I'm going to touch a little bit of blue. So nothing too crazy. If you are super type A, this is probably stressing you out. Don't forget to breathe. And remember, you could do this with a paint pen. Okay. If the brush is really stressing you out, you don't have steady hands, use a paint pen. There is nothing wrong with that. Leave them one color. You don't have to put extra color on them. You do whatever works for you. Don't let this be stressful. The point is that it's fun and enjoyable, so we don't want it to be stressful. All right, so there's my little butterflies. I am going to find maybe one black paint pen. I don't see one right here. I think I'm going to have to turn this up. There we go. Found it. I was afraid I was going to have to turn it, and it's very precarious where my paintbrushes and my pens are. Okay, so let's start gluing everything down. In your box, you're going to have a little tube of craft glue. When you put this glue down, you just want to remember that you need just a dot, not a lot. So we're just barely putting some glue on the back of our pieces here. We're not putting big gobs of glue. The glue is going to dry clear. It does need a full 24 hours to cure. So make sure you let everything lay flat before you go and set it up. And it's a pretty permanent glue. It's not, your pieces shouldn't move on you. All right, so we've got our sunshine and daisies, and we're going to put these 3 little baby daisies on this sign. So let's do 1, 2, 3. Boop. Doop. And a doop. And then I'm going to take my paint pen. We're just going to add some fun little dots with the black. So this is a grabby acrylic marker. Okay. It is very extra fine tip. I would say it's a very fine point. I love these for these little bitty baby details because they just give you that very, very fine point. And I got this one on Amazon. I don't feel like they were terribly expensive. You can buy a pack of them, it has like, 30 million colors, which is fun. Or I did buy a pack that just had black and white as well because I needed more black and white and I didn't need more of all the colors. So there's lots of options there. Okay, so here's what we did. Just some little dots and swipes there. Nothing too crazy. Let's do this one. This is going to be Hello Spring. Just a little bit of glue. I always say it's like you're putting on lipstick or chapstick. You don't want big globs of it, right? Just nice thin layer of glue. Okay. Line that puppy up and set them down. And then we're going to put our yellow butterflies over here. So I'm going to put this guy down here. And I'm going to put this guy up here in the sky. Boop. And then we will do little dots. This is that little extra touch that you don't have to do it. It's just a little extra. And I am pretty extra most days, so I like these. And this is where you could do, some little squiggles and stuff on your butterflies. And they're going to look just fine. All right. Cute little Hello Spring sign. Very cute. Let that set over there where it's nice and flat. Okay, we've got this tag. Oh, it's going to say Bloom. I love this kit so much. It's just so bright and happy. All right, let's put Bloom over here, and then it gets this little guy. And our other one. I know we painted it. Oh, there it is. I was like, I saw it earlier. Okay. Put him on there. I've either had too much caffeine today or not enough because my hands are kind of shaky. All right. We are going to put these flowers, I'm going to glue on the stem. Just so they're a little more 3D looking. And I'll just have to hold them there for a minute until that glue sets just a smidge. So I know that they're going to stay. And we're going to put our little butterfly over here. Okay, that is so cute. I love it. I love it. Probably, yeah, I should have done the details on these flowers before I glued them down because I don't have them setting fully on the piece, so they're a little wobbly. That's okay. We're gonna make it work. Okay. And some lines and dots over here. So fun. It's hard to know when to stop. Cute. And so what I'll do is I'll put a little piece of string here and a little bead up there. I don't have one in here. I would do that now. But I don't have a bead in here. So you're going to just imagine that that is there. Okay. Our battery is running low. Hopefully we can get this done. All right, let's do quick little swipes on these flowers before we glue them down this time. I'm gonna kick it into high gear here so battery doesn't die. Oh, okay, yeah, so we've got this little gate piece. I forgot this little circle. She goes on that tag right there. All right, so I'm gluing this down. While I'm gluing this down, let me just reiterate, this is our Wagon Club box for the month of April. You can grab yours on our website. If you sign up for the Wagon Club this month, you will get this month's box. I'd love to have you in the Wagon Club. If you have any questions, you can email us at info@holyrustic.com, or you can find more information on our website. We have wagon kits on there, but these kits are exclusive to the club, so you won't find this particular design on the website. And then it is a reoccurring payment. It's going to go through your bank account each month on the same day that you signed up, and you'll have the kit delivered to your house. But you can cancel at any time. There's no commitment or anything like that, so you can cancel at any time. But it's just a fun way to do something for yourself each month. So I hope you've enjoyed painting this. If you paint this month's Wagon Club, I would love to see how yours turned out. Send us some pictures, drop them on Facebook, email them to me at info@holyrustic.com. However you want to do that, I would love to see your pictures. But here's our cute little Wagon Club. So we have this little fence piece, the little bloom sign, the little hello spring, and then the sunshine and daisies will go on the front of our wagon there. So thanks so much for hanging out with me, and have a fabulous day.